Please stand. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Beaumont. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. If you're on Zoom, if you'll please mute your microphone. We want to begin this week's meeting with a moment of silence as we lost one of our friends and members this past week, and we want to remember him. So please join me in a moment of silence for W.L. Pate Jr. Our invocation this week will be brought by Mandy Clayton, Director of Development and Foundation at Lamar Institute of Technology. Jennifer Gregory will be leading our pledges. She's the Human Resource Officer at Beaumont Housing Authority.
Thank you, Cindy. Please bow your heads. Thank you, Father, for the gift of Rotary and each other. Please bless us all with the gift of a servant's heart. May we be ever mindful of those in need. Help us to provide to the hungry. Heal the wounds of hatred with our love. Comfort those in sorrow. Bring peace to those living in areas of unrest. Through our service to others, we thank you for all our gifts. We ask for a special blessing on those who couldn't be with us today and on our speaker. Amen.
Okay, if you could join me with the pledges to the United States and Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
I want to welcome our guests that are joining us in person today. If you'll stand when I call your name, along with your Rotarian host, Jancy Kimball, guest of Sherry Pierce, Shonda Shamiha, guest of Christy Young, Linda Domino, guest of Joe Domino. Thank you for joining us today. We also have a number of guests online today, with our theme this year being Rotary Opens Opportunities. It's nice that I get to share this meeting with my hometown of Morton, Texas. We have I get to share not only our speaker from Morton, Texas, with my Rotary family. I get to share Rotary, something very near and dear to me, with my Morton family. So we have over 20 people joining us online from the community of Morton today as we await our speaker. So welcome, guests. Now on to club business with board action. Jay Wilson, Secretary.
Thank you, Madam President. The board had our final meeting of the 2021 year yesterday, and in membership action, the board was happy to learn there's 2 new members that are being admitted to the club today, and you will get to meet them momentarily. We accepted the resignation of 2 members, Dr. Ken Evans and Bill Voigtman. The Community Service Projects Chair, John Lee, presented a proposal that the club help with building beds again, the Sleep in Heavenly Peace project, on July 17th. John's going to tell you more about that as we get closer, but please save the date for service on the morning of Saturday, July 17th. The board approved the appointment by President-elect Brad Brown of incoming officers for our next Rotary year. Vice President, Uliana Trelowski, Secretary, Dana Timaeus, Treasurer, Karen Husbands, and Sergeant-at-Arms, Jeff Beaver. The calendar of meeting and event dates for 21-22 was approved as presented by President-elect Brad Brown. And the 2021-22 budget was presented by Treasurer Karen Husbands, and it too was approved. The 21-22 board met after the meeting concluded in a planning session, and we talked about goals for the new Rotary year. President-elect Brad Brown will share that information with you at his address on July 7th. So please be in attendance as the new club leadership is installed at our regular meeting on that day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Now we get to introduce our newest members of Rotary. President-elect Brad Brown, you'll make your way up.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's great to see you all in the room. I believe that Rotary is experienced best in person and face-to-face. What do you think? Yeah. Glad to see you here. It's a privilege of mine to introduce you to two brand new Rotarians. This will be not enough Rotarians that we've introduced this year, that many. So this must be emphasis for all of us to invite those that we know would love the Rotary experience as much as us to share the noon hour and all of our community activities with us, don't you think? Well, today it's my privilege to introduce to you Dr. Helen Liu. Helen is a professor in the Dan F. Smith Department of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering at Lamar University, Beaumont, Texas. Not easy for me to say. I'm sure it wasn't easy for her to do. With dual degrees in chemical engineering and computer science, what have you done lately? So, Helen loves cooking and taking care of her vegetable garden. Helen also loves traveling. Helen, we welcome you to Beaumont Rotary Club. I warned you about pictures, Helen. Welcome, Helen, to Rotary Club. Helen was born in a small city in China. Luoyang is in the north part of China. So we're glad to have her here at Lamar University, and we're grateful to have her here in Rotary with us. I want to introduce you to Jacques Gagne. Jacques is a buyer with Coburn Supply Company. He was born in Tuscaloosa and got here quickly after that. So Jacques is born and raised here in Beaumont. He's joined Rotary to help give back to the community, meet new people, and help others. Yeah, sounds like all of us, right? And we're looking forward to having Jacques join with us in our community activities in our Rotary Club. Wait for it, graduate of Texas A&M University. There it is, class of 92, and also an avid gardener all year round. Welcome, Jacques, to Beaumont Rotary Club.
Welcome to our two newest members. Now to present a check. Jancy, if you'll come up here, have Jancy Kimball with Nutrition and Services for Seniors. If you'll remember, we did 3 projects to use up the money that the York, Pennsylvania Club donated us during the ice storm for food and water. And one of those projects was at the Nutrition and Services for Seniors. So I'm so happy to present Jancy with a check today for $3,700.
Oh, thank you so much. And they told me I had about 30 seconds, and I'm sorry, I don't take a breath in 30 seconds. So kick back, it's going to be a while. I'm just kidding. You know, this past year has been challenging for everybody. And for many of us, we were at an all stop for many, many months. But unfortunately, hunger amongst the senior population did not get that memo. And the stay-at-home orders only exacerbated the problems and challenges of isolation and loneliness amongst our senior population. And so we were lucky enough at Nutrition and Services to have a wonderful staff to be able to pivot. And we were able to continue providing our valuable service to all of our clients in Jefferson and Hardin counties. And services like transportation, and that's to life-saving appointments for dialysis, doctor's appointments, grocery stores, and our nutritious meals. And what that did was that ensured the health and well-being and safety of all of our clients. Our count now, our meal count daily, is around 1,800. And the demand for our services continues to rise, and we can't do that alone. I am very proud to say that through this entire crisis, we never missed one day of service, and we did not lay one employee off. And I'm very proud of that. Thank you. We cannot continue to do this alone with the demand. It takes a community. And it is gifts such as this that allow us to continue to ensure that we are taking care of those that need the most care. And I thank you so much for all you do. I'm reminded of a quote from Maya Angelou. I have learned that no matter what happens, and no matter how bad today may seem, that life goes on and tomorrow will be a better day. My Rotarian friends, through gifts such as this, you are ensuring that we have a better tomorrow. Thank you for your tireless efforts in this community to make us stronger. And thank you for this that will change so many lives. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Jancy. Now to report on our Let's Build a Nest campaign, Kevin Reed. The running realtors running to the podium.
Wow, just wow. From the seniors to the kids, we're all over. Rotary is everywhere. So I have a lot to say, but a little time to say, so I'm going to give you just highlights. There's the before pictures of what this room is going to, what it looks like now and what it could look like. And so I need an additional 3 volunteers to meet me at Martin Elementary for the prime coat painting day from 9 to, well, they say 1, but if we have good help, we can be done really fast. So if you're interested, there is a sign up sheet on the website, and or you can see Jackie, or you can see me, or just get a hold of one of us. We'll tell you where to meet. As far as our donations, I want to thank all of the people that have sponsored so far, and so many have came up in the last couple of days and said they're meaning to do this. Well, we are now at $10,460 over our goal. We just need a few more to reach that goal and to make it happen. And you can see the list of sponsors, I think, if she scrolls down, but there's a lot of sponsors, too many to mention. But again, from the seniors to the little ones, Rotary is pretty strong. I'm proud to be a part. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you all who've donated. That campaign will wrap up at the end of June, so you need to get your donation in by then. And the base coat paint day is this Saturday. Now to introduce our speaker, I'm happy to introduce one of my friends from my hometown. LaQuita Thompson is from Morton, Texas, where she participated in all sports and was a member of the 1986-87 First Girls State Championship basketball team as a freshman at Morton High School. And just as an aside, our boys basketball team won state that year too. So that we come from a basketball town. She continued her basketball career with the Lady Wildcats of Abilene Christian University, attending the NCAA Division II tournament twice and receiving her bachelor's in biology. She attended the WNBA's Detroit Shock tryout camp in its first year and the ABL training camp in the early 90s. Later, she played in a semi-professional basketball league, the WUBA, with the Houston Blaze until a recurring knee injury ended her career as a player. LaQuita is a certified science teacher and taught integrated physics and chemistry for 6 years. She was the first female coach of a boys high school basketball team in the Fort Bend Independent School District at Hightower High School. LaQuita is the founder and CEO of Extreme Heat Sports Management and a professional elite skills trainer with national and international experience. She is also the National Girls Scouting Director with former NBA player and current Houston Rockets associate coach, John Lucas Enterprises. Please welcome one of our Morton, Texas hometown heroes, LaQuita Thompson.
All right. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you so much. First, I want to congratulate Cindy because I know that you were a phenomenal president. And I know that because you are from Morton, Texas. So thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your assembly today. And I also want to thank you all for the work that you do in Beaumont, Texas, and what you give to the community, because that is what we were all actually put here on earth to do, is to give and to inspire our community. And now, but before I begin, I would like to just show a short video of where I ended up, and then we're going to take a journey with how it all started. Basketball is just a passion that we use to gather kids together to find out what your gifts and what your passions really are.
Basketball teaches me that I'm unique. Basketball teaches me that I'm strong. Basketball teaches me that I have power.
It's that competitive side in me that said, you know what, just because you say I can't do it, I'm gonna keep that little mental note right here, and I'm gonna remember that thing about the limitations that have always been put on women. I wanted to become a very powerful movement where we're motivating girls who see nothing, who have nothing, but dream and can find girls' power as something to hold on to. I'd like to start off with a short story, and this story stuck with me because of the message that's behind it. There was an old lady who had lost her diamond earring, and she was searching for it right outside her house and frantically searching for it until she caught the attention of her neighbors, and her neighbors began trying to help her find her lost treasure. Then one of the smart neighbors eventually asked her, well, ma'am, where did you drop your diamond? Where did you lose your treasure? And she said, oh, well, never mind. I dropped it inside. And he's like, well, why are we out here searching for it if you dropped your treasure on the inside? And she was like, you don't understand. There's no light inside. So I came outside to search for it. And I think that resonates so much with me because many of our young people and many of us do that exact same thing. We are always looking for the outside for our treasure that's actually on the inside of us. And in my quest to find who I was and what my purpose was, I found answers that liberated me from my own misery and from my own sorrow. And I realized that many people, and especially our young people, because that's the population that I mostly work with, don't know where to search for their fulfillment or their happiness or their peace or their purpose, or they're striving on the outside looking for their success. But what they fail to realize is that you are the treasure. It lives inside of you. And in the culture that we live in today, a lot of our young people are looking for celebrities, and they're looking for fame, and they're looking for all of these other things outside of themselves, not realizing that it's all inside of you. And all you have to do is begin to groom it and begin to believe in it so that you can share it. I labeled what I wanted to really share with you today as small town dreams. Because as I look back on my life and I look back where I grew up in Morton, Texas, I realized there's so much more to that story than I ever appreciated growing up. Morton is a very small community, and I always give the number of maybe 2,200 people, or give or take a few. And we are a family, and we help each other, and we are about community. And I grew up with my grandparents, and they instilled so many wonderful principles inside of me. But growing up, I felt invisible. I played all the sports, as Cindy said earlier, but in all of that participation in sports and everything that I did, I felt invisible. I felt that no one was going to know that I even existed, because I felt that we were hidden somewhere in a corner and the world didn't know where Morton was. One of the biggest dreams that I had at that particular time was I wanted to go to the University of Texas and play for Jody Conrad. And I was like, how is she going to find me? Because I feel invisible. I feel hidden. And as a kid growing up at that time in Morton, you want to get away, you want to escape. But my grandparents always instilled more and more in me, and they were very supportive in everything I did. But still on the inside of myself, I felt invisible. I felt I wasn't going to make it. I felt, being from a small town, that I wouldn't be able to make it in the big city or this big world. I remember the only place I really dreamt of going was to Paris, because that was really the only place, everybody knows about Paris. But what I had to grow to understand as I grew older was, it's not where you're from, but it's what you bring with you. It's what are the tools inside of you and your talents and your gifts that you bring with you, no matter where you end up. And that's what it's about. And the greatest thing about growing up in a small town is the things that you learn that you don't know you learned until you actually begin living your own life. And growing up in a small town, I learned hope, I learned drive, I learned perseverance through everything. And those are part of the tools that I bring with me in everything that I do. I remember wanting to be a professional basketball player. My papa, I called him my papa, but my grandfather always told me, he said, by the time you graduate, there's going to be a professional league, and you're going to be able to play in that league. He always supported me, even if I didn't feel that I did well. My family was always there supporting me, applauding me and congratulating me. And I remember that was his dream, and I stuck with that. And so when the WNBA started, he came with me to Michigan to try out for the WNBA Detroit Shock. And I remember there was like 350, I believe, women that are trying out for only 4 positions. And so when I'm going in thinking, there is no way I'm going to get selected. There's 2, they're more experienced. They come from different backgrounds, big cities, D1 colleges. Here I am, a small town girl, but I'm here with my grandfather. And so after that tryout, when you go back and you look, and he's sitting in the corner, still clapping his hands for me and applauding me. And at the end, when I go and look at the sheet, I'm not on the list. But what did my grandfather do? He still applauded me, and he still said, I'm proud of you. You made it. Now, at the time, I was selfish because I wanted to make it, and I wanted to become famous, and I wanted to become big, to make him proud, but also for myself. But what I grew to understand about that one moment is that a small dream was reached, but it was for my grandfather. Because in his mind, I'd made it to where he said I would make it when I was growing up as a kid. I was at a WNBA tryout, And that was what he said would be for me. And that was good enough for him. So a dream was reached. And through that, it was hard in the beginning for me. And that's why I love working with young people so much. And I love training them and teaching them now, is because when I graduated school, I didn't really know what I was going to do, because all I was preparing myself to do was to play sports. But one thing that I learned is you can run, but you cannot hide from what's in store for me. You cannot run and hide from your gifts or your talents or the purpose that's already been designed for you. And so in my mind, I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a coach. But where do you think I ended up? Right in that profession of teaching and coaching. One of the biggest lessons I learned during that time is I was the only female coaching boys basketball in the boys department. In my first year, I felt that I had something to prove because I was the only female. And as far as we knew, I was the only female in the state of Texas doing that, and especially in Fort Bend district. And I was hard on the boys, and I was pushing them, and I was using the wrong kind of words with them. And I didn't really know how to inspire them. I was more concerned about numbers and short-term, accomplishments. And I was forgetting about the long-term lives of those kids. And so my first year of coaching was tough, and we didn't win. And what I learned about that is it was me, the leader. I wasn't a good leader that first year. And it took me to really deep and do some real hard soul searching and make changes and hold myself accountable for that, so that my next year became one of the best years of my coaching career ever. And what I was able to do was establish trust with those kids. I was able to build confidence in those young boys. I was able to unite them and inspire them and motivate them and let them know that even though what we see may not look athletic, and even though what we see is not putting up 20 and 30 points and doing these things, you are special and you are important. And when I changed how I began to lead those boys and they began to trust in me, we had a championship team and we went undefeated that year. We lost one game by 1 point, but in our minds, we won that game because everything we did worked. Everything we tried to do, it worked for us. I remember one of the kids on the team, he had seizures. And whenever he would have an episode, the kids knew that and they would take care of him. And I remember the first time it happened and I was like, what's going on? Is he okay? And they're like, Coach, yes, he's just having an episode. We'll take care of him. And that touched my heart so, because I saw the love that these kids had for each other. And so I wanted to make sure that as their coach, I would also express that same love to them. And so in that journey of teaching and coaching them, I learned a lot from those young kids. And I was in a field that I didn't expect to be in, but I was on a journey. I was on a personal journey of doing the same exact thing through mentorship for kids that come along the way. Mentorship, the power of mentorship, the power of positive words. In the industry that I'm in coaching, you'll read a lot and you'll see a lot of abuse of coaches with words and how they treat kids and not knowing how to motivate them and not knowing how to push them. And you'll see a lot of athletes that end up quitting because the coach was too hard, the coach was mean, the coach was too aggressive. And I had to learn that lesson also, because as a coach and a trainer, you're so competitive and you want to win that you forget that you're dealing with people and you're supposed to be building people. And so I had to learn that in that journey of coaching boys basketball. And it taught me mentorship, the same mentorship that I was getting from my grandparents. The two things that my grandfather always said to me, and I always use that, is one, he was about education. Get your education. That's something that no one can ever take from you. and it can take you places that you can't even dream of. And the other thing he always said was hustle. If you don't know what to do on the court, you just hustle, 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 hustle. And I took that education and hustle meaning to work hard, to never give up. And I apply that to everything that I do. And it's the same principles that I teach my kids on this very day. Mentorship. And so through my company, Extreme Heat Sports, that's what I strive to do, to educate the youth that I work with. Because in educating them and giving them the information, I can empower them. And in empower them, I can help build their self-esteem and their confidence in themselves so that they know that they are more than they think they are. And they are more than maybe the world is even telling them that they are. And in empowering them, they will be able to elevate and reach the dreams and the goals that they may have set for themselves and know that they can reach it. And just dig inside of yourself and know that the power lives in them. And as I worked with mentorship and with kids all over the country, all over the city, and as we built the foundation with the Eddie and Thelma Lewis Foundation, one thing that I found is that fear and doubt follow our young people. It's the biggest enemy of our young people, fear and doubt. And so I wanted to introspect and I wanted to do a self-analysis of that. Because if I don't understand what's plaguing them and how can I help them? How can I lead them? How can I inspire them? How can I motivate them? And there are some things that I learned in that quest. And one is that fear is the helpmate to failure. Doubt strangles determination. Hesitation dismisses opportunity. And mistakes power growth. And with that in my mind, as I work with kids now, I know what I'm looking at and I know how to work to inspire and help them. I started a podcast and it's called the I Am Podcast. And it's geared for the unseen young person, young athlete, young trainer, young coach, someone who's been hidden or felt that they've been invisible. And I call it the I Am Podcast because I want the young people that come on there to express who they really are besides just a basketball player. I am confident. I am strong. I am intelligent. I am everything that I want to be. And because when you look on ESPN and you look at some of the other podcasts, you'll find that most of us as national scouts and as coaches, we search out the very best of athletes, the very best in talent, the very best in gifts, because it's easy. It's easy to put them on a platform and know that they're going to be successful and that they're going to do it. It's not so easy to find a kid whose skills level isn't quite to par, and they may be second tier or third tier. It takes work to do that. If you were to come to Houston and come to my gym, you would never find a top 100 kid in my gym because those aren't the kids that are given to me. The young athletes that are given to me are those who have no self-esteem and do not believe in themselves. Those who believe that they can't make it and are not destined for success. So what the biggest thing that was given to me was taught, get more out of basketball than just basketball. And at the time, it didn't really make sense to me. But now as I'm on this journey and as I'm bringing a small town dream and a small town purpose to a big world, I understand what that means. And it's about life. And it's about imparting in our young people's lives. It's about imparting in our communities. It's about imparting into our families and to those who are close to us, our friends. It's about positive word and positive energy. It's about giving. It's about charity. It's about love. It's not about some of the things that our culture now, that our kids absorb. It's not about those things, but what you do there in Beaumont and what I do all over the world is what it's about. And it took me a few years to learn that and accept that and appreciate that, and to know that the gifts that I have and the gifts that my family and my grandparents imparted at me wasn't just for me, but it was time to share it. And so in beginning my life and thinking of a small town kid being hidden and I'm invisible and no one's going to find me, no one's going to know about me, am I good enough? I had to understand that it was about what's in me that I'm bringing with me that can change lives. You can run, but you can't hide from your gifts and your talents and what your purposes are. And in that, and growing and molding and maturing, this small town girl has been able to travel all over the world. I work with John Lucas Enterprises here in the city, and I travel all over the country scouting talent and giving them an opportunity to come here into the top 160. I've traveled all over the world, I say, Australia, China, Switzerland, and I found that it's the same issue that plagues our young people, which is fear and doubt. And so my biggest goal in life is to help those young people, to help the kids, the ones that feel left out, to inspire them, to let them know that there's more inside of you than you can even imagine. And that's my life's dream, is to help one every day believe in themselves and grow and mature into knowing that you're special, you are somebody, and you can make it. One of the things that I noticed in this past year, which was tough for all of us, is many young people are suffering from depression and anxiety and fear and all of these things that was plaguing them already. And it was hard for us to get back in stride of everything, because they felt isolated, and they felt that the things that were outside of them, they no longer had access to. And so inspiring our kids and our young people and our athletes is very much needed today. And we don't want to lose them. We don't want to lose the gifts and the talents that they have inside of them, because they are our future. They will be the ones running this country. They will be our lawyers and our doctors and our teachers. They will be the parents raising the next generation of kids into this world. And so it's important that we connect, that we look past our differences, that we look past the things that we think separate us, but actually we're all connected. And as what you do in your community is what we're supposed to do all over this world, because that's the most important thing. Small town dream, to me in the beginning, used to be about a fantasy. It used to be about reaching some level of success and some level of money and opportunity and position. But what I realized, the dream was the purpose. I labeled it a dream, but it's the purpose. It was a purpose that was instilled in me. And it's the same purpose that I strive to instill in the young people that I work with and the young girls that I work with. And that's what it's about. I want to share this last story with you. And I want you just to picture this story in your mind as I speak it. There was a man on stage. He was a violinist. And he's playing his violin. And he's making the most beautiful music you could ever hear. And as he's playing, the audience is enjoying it, and they are just feeling the vibes and the mood that it was creating. And as he was going and he's hitting all the melody and all the notes, one of the strings pops loose. Now he's left with 4 strings, but he continues to play. He continues to make the same beautiful music as he's going, and the audience is still enjoying every note, every sound of it. And as he continues to play, another string pops off. Now he's left with 3 strings, but he continues to play that violin. And the audience continues to enjoy the music. Every note, every sound is resonating within them. And as he continues to play, another string pops off. And now he's left with 2 strings, but he continues to play. And I can just imagine that he's sweating it out right now because he's left with only 2 strings and started with 5. But he's looking at the reaction of the audience, and they're still loving the music. Every note, every sound is resonating within their hearts. And the next thing you know, he's still playing, and he's still just playing the same sound as he had with 5 strings. And next thing you know, 1 more string popped. He's left with 1 string, but he continues to play his violin. And the audience continues to enjoy every note, and every sound is resonating within their hearts. He's really sweating it out now because he has 1 string. But he never stopped playing. And he kept playing, and he kept playing, and he kept playing with that 1 string on his violin. He kept playing, and he kept playing until he came to the end of that song. And when he put his violin down, looking at that 1 string, the audience gave him a standing ovation, and they loved it, and they were encore, encore, encore. And he's looking at his violin. He only has 1 string. But what did he do? He picked that violin up with that 1 string, and he began to play and give them an encore with 1 string. And he started with 5. I love that story. And that story has stayed with me since I was in college. Because if you think about it, we all have an instrument to play. Some of us are in the brass, some of us are percussion, some of us are within the wood, we're playing the flutes, but we all have an instrument to play. And imagine the music that we could create if we didn't worry about what our instrument looked like, if we didn't worry about where our instrument came from, if we didn't worry about how many strings we had on that instrument. Think about the harmony that we could create, the melody that we could create, and think about the life-changing music that we could spread around the world. If we didn't worry about our political views, our religion, our gender, the color of our skin, our financial resources, imagine the harmony that could be created and the unity that could be established and the lives that could be changed. That man playing on this stage with 1 string on his violin changed lives that day. Unexpected things happened, but he changed lives that day. And he never stopped. He never quit. He might have sweated, but he never gave up on the gift that he was given with that violin. And he never judged himself. And he continued to play with that 1 string, making the same music, the same harmony, the same melody, allowing that song, the songs that he was playing, to resonate in his audience hearts, in their minds, and their souls. And those are the things that I strive for with Extreme Heat Sports Management: empowerment, education, elevation, lifting each other up, lifting our young people up to positions of success, to positions of believing in themselves and knowing that the power lives in them. And not only does the power live in them, but the power also lives in us. And so this small town girl now understands what it means to be from a small town and what it means to have support from a small town. And it shows also in today, because they are here today in support of our small town members. It's not about where you're from, but it's about what you bring with you. And so I want to encourage you to continue to do what you do in Beaumont, Texas. Continue to do what you do in your communities, in your churches, in your homes with your families. Continue to do what you do in your classrooms. Continue to do what you do, because you may not see the difference and you may never know the life that you're changing, but I guarantee you, you're changing lives. You're changing lives. You're inspiring hope. You're inspiring perseverance. You're inspiring faith. You're inspiring unity. And that's what this is about. And that's what our journey is about. And it is so rewarding when you are doing what you know you are supposed to do. It is so fulfilling when you can look at people and you can see that what you've contributed, you've made an impact in that area. You've made an impact in someone's life. You've made an impact in someone's organization. You've made an impact in the camps that you'll hold. You'll make an impact. And that's the lesson that I learned from my grandfather and from my family in Morton, Texas. It's about making an impact. It's not about judging yourself from that small town and thinking that you're invisible, thinking that you're worthless, thinking that you're not good enough. It's about knowing that the power lives in you and you can do and be whatever you want to be. You can travel the world. I never thought that I would be in China. I never thought or ever dreamed that I would ever go to Italy. I never believed that I would ever make it to Australia or to Turkey or to Nice, France, or even to Switzerland. But those are the places that I ended up. I could have never dreamed that I would work with an NBA legend of John Lucas. I never really thought about traveling all over the country and all over the world because I didn't know that I had it in me to be what I am today. So I strive and I push our people, and I want to do the same for you, and I want to thank you for what you do. And remember that not only does the power lives inside of the young people that you're inspiring in the communities that you're working with, but the power lives in each of you. And before we began, I heard a conversation about telling people that you love them. And that's so important. Letting those around us know how much we love them and how much we appreciate them and how much they have inspired or impart in our life. Let's remember to do that. This hasn't been an easy year for any of us. There was so much loss, even within my family. But we have to remember to every day that you have an opportunity to share love, to show love, to give hope, to inspire faith, to nurture. Don't miss out on that opportunity because those only come when they come, and you don't always can guarantee that they'll be there for you. So always share love, always be love, always give compassion. Always give opportunities when you know that you can. There's power in mentorship. There's power in positivity. And there's power in unity. The power lives in you. The power lives in all of us. So let's change this world and the climate that we live in so that we can leave something doable for the next generation coming after us. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the opportunity that you've given me to share today. And I hope that there was something said that will inspire you today to go out and be your purpose, find your purpose, and allow your purpose to inspire others. Take your small town dreams to the big time world and just begin to make changes one step, one person, one moment, one opportunity at a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, LaQuita. Anyone have any questions? Any online questions? Well, we want to thank you for joining us today, everyone. One thing that I've enjoyed watching LaQuita grow up, she is younger than me, but I've enjoyed her watching her grow up, and her grandparents and family were a stalwart in Morton, Texas. Her grandmother was a teacher, her dad, her grandfather was a referee at all our games. He was a Boy Scout leader. I mean, it was just a really tight-knit town growing up. And we have a lot of support from that town. But what I appreciate from LaQuita is that she looks for those people. She's almost a magnet to those people that were kind of like her growing up, that were kind of invisible and just need somebody to be the one. And it reminds me of when we do RILA, when we take our juniors to our Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, we pick the juniors that we know they have it in them. They just need a little bit of help and guidance to where they can develop that, and then they can make a big difference in their communities and in their world. So thank you, LaQuita, for closing out my year with a little hometown pride and inspiration. And I think I'm going to take your grandfather, Mr. Eddie's advice, and remember that education and hustle. With education and hustle, you can pretty much succeed at anything. And another thing this reminded me of today is a couple of weeks ago, for those of you that are online joining us, we had 2 Paralympians that were here, Kyle and Jenny Mooch, and they never were afraid of anything. Both of them from the get-go were both, I know he was the only one in his small community of Floresville. I believe, was it Floresville or Louisville? Very small community. He was the only one in town in a wheelchair. That did not keep him from trying anything. He went to a camp, played basketball, ran track, did every single thing that they would let him do. And Jenny was the same. She was not afraid to try anything. And I think as I was listening to LaQuita talk about the fear of some of the athletes and the doubts that they have, I thought, what a difference in Kyle and Jenny, how they were not afraid of a single thing. They just jumped into everything. So there's just so much we can learn. And we are all those different pieces in that orchestra, and we can learn from all those different pieces. So in your honor, LaQuita, we will be making a donation to Rotary International. They do so much good around the world, and especially during the pandemic, they really stepped it up. So thank you for sharing your time with us today via Houston, Texas. And we appreciate all that you do for the youth of the community. Now, in closing, remember, consider to donate to the Build a Nest project. It will be closing out June 30th. If you want to, the artist has, she's going to incorporate the names of the donors in some way into the artwork. I'm not quite sure what that is, but if you would like to be included in that portion of it, just please make sure you get your donation in by June 30th. Next week is going to be our final meeting of this Rotary year. And I heard it's going to be a swimming party. So everybody just go and bring your suit and your towel. And afterwards, we'll just go jump in the pool at the Elegante. Not really. I hear that it's going to be fun. That's all they've let me know, is it's going to be fun. We're going to give out some awards to some people who've really been a big help to me this year at the first of the program. But after that, I'm turning it all over to our Rotary community players. And I think they have something cooked up to really make this a fun Wednesday. So please come back next week so we can end the year on a really good note. So again, thank you, LaQuita, and thank you to all the people from my hometown of Morton, Texas, for tuning in with us today. If you will stand, we will all recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Go out and find opportunities to lead and serve.